How he handles stress.
Yeah, this question I understood well.
Fischel, what would you say to that?
Listen to Reb Eli Stefansky.
Take an hour.
Stress relief pill.
Take an hour.
I always say attitudes are caught, not taught.
So, right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Q&A panel. It was supposed to be officially on chinuch. It ended up being chinuch and hashkafa and many different things. Now, although we have our esteemed panelists, I was asked a question many times over Shabbos, Rabbi Bensoussan, Rabbi Fischel, and Rabbi Yoel that you're unaware of. So I think, although I wasn't going to start this way, I think we're going to start the panel the way I usually start a panel. And that is, we're going to ask every Rav here to give a 1-minute background of who you are and how you got to where you are, what you do today. Because we know Iris is a big famous speaker, but what do you do? You're Rav, your quick background, Rabbi Yoel, Reb Eli, if you want, that's up to you. Hopefully people know a little bit about you, and then Rabbi Fischel, and then we'll get straight to it. Rabbi Ari, since you're further away, we'll start with you. What's your brief background story?
I sat here to just be away. You know.
I know.
Starting with you. Look at that.
Why.
Oh, it's coming right back.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Esav was born first, but Yaakov went in first. That's the thing. That's the time. Okay, my name is Ari Bensoussan. I live in Los Angeles, California. I have an organization called Chazak with a K. That's the one you haven't heard of. And it is outreach for Sephardic Yidden, which we teach every single age possible, a lot of shiurim, a lot of events, different things like that. I'm also a Rebbe in 12th grade in Eula High School. And I do some recordings online, here and there. That's the basic thing about me. Hashem.
Very good, awesome. Rabbi Yoel.
It's a complicated question for me. I don't know if you know, you opened the can of worms for me. I have an identity crisis a little bit. So if you ask who I am,
we can address
depends which crowd I'm talking to. If I'm talking to a Hasidic crowd, my name is Yoeli. I grew up in Williamsburg. And
they're not happy the way you look today, though.
Okay, listen, that's why I have to be careful. But they see there's a mix. So, okay, I'll have to tell you.
We're only going to broadcast
give you 4 bios.
We're only going to broadcast it on MDY's website to thousands of people, but that's fine.
So, my name is Yoeli Gold. I grew up in Williamsburg Hasidic. I somehow made it my way to LA. My wife is from LA. I was a Rebbe for many years. I was a rabbi of a shul for quite a few years until it closed down. It was Holocaust survivors. They all passed away. I started doing video production 10 years ago. I write for the Ami every week. And people say, what do you do now every day? Like, what do you do? So it just does take a long time to do a video and film. So that's really what I do most of my day. Because of Reb Eli, I also give a Daf Yomi shir, which I'm very proud of. Reb Eli is my inspiration. And I'm a father. I'm trying to be a good Jew. Reb Eli got it.
I wasn't going to speak, but because of what he said, Yoeli, I'll just tell you a quick story to add to what he said. I was in shul in Chicago, and this guy says, Shalom Aleichem, how are you? He says he's Reb Shimshon Pinkus' son, and he's here in Chicago because there was just an accident. His father, his mother were killed, and his sister are sisters in Chicago having surgeries. And this is years ago. So I said, you're Reb Shimshon Pinkus' son? So he says, yeah. I said, oh, you were my chavrusa in Panelist, Yeshiva Ktana. He says, no, I wasn't. I said, yeah, you were. We learned this in this Schachter. So he says, I don't recognize you. I said, well, you don't remember I did this. I jumped over the bima and this. I hit this guy, beat up that guy. No, he doesn't remember anything. So anyway, I walk away from it. I said, okay, we'll shmooze after davening. And then a minute later, he says, wait a minute. How you related to Stefansky, that the Ruthie Stefansky, the one that was just nifter. I said, that's my mother. I said, whoa, time out. You're Elio Stefansky? I said, yeah. He says, tell me in Hebrew, when did you go off the derech? So you have Reb Yoeli, who used to be Hasidish. You have me, who used to be Uber Litvish. You have 2 off the derech guys. It's not bad to be off the derech. You come back on.
We're sitting in the center here.
Yeah.
And
all right.
Segueing straight to Reb Schachter, perfect.
He used to be, he also went off the derech just a little way.
Fisher, you're going to confirm it?
Reb Yoeli, how you doing?
Love you, man.
It's a hard act to follow. If I want to describe who I am, my name is Fischel Schachter. I'll tell you one short, tiny story, and I'll tell you who I am. I once came into Lakewood, tell a story to 3,000 kids, and I walked in, everyone stood up and started singing Yomi Melech, and I felt very, very good about it. And the person behind the dais, I was telling him, it's not necessary, and the person behind the dais was saying, it's okay, it's okay, you deserve it. Then I felt a very, very gentle hand on my shoulder. I turned around and saw Rav Mokil Kotler standing right behind me. And where I interpreted, he's saying, it's okay, you deserve it. He's saying, we're going to get out of the way. She's standing behind you. That's who I am. What I tell you? I don't know how else to describe myself.
What do you do day to day?
What I do day to day. So I try to survive. I'm Zaycha to say a lot of shiurim. I try to take my stories and look around and see stories. And people always ask me, how come you have stories and no one else doesn't? I say, we all have stories, we just have to see them. So what I do day to day is I try to see the stories around me.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the first question as we got in order. We got a lot of questions that we are able to say publicly, some questions we can't ask publicly, especially because being recorded. So we'll start with someone said about davening. He said, I have 4 boys. The oldest is 8 years old. They see me learning hard for the daf, but I'm very frustrated that they don't want to come to shul. They don't want to daven. And my oldest is 8 years old. How do I instill in them a love of davening? Fischel, we'll start with you.
You can't instill a love for davening, and you don't force kids to come to daven. I'll tell you what I did. I davened in Mos Yisrael. It's a very, very long davening. It's 3-4 hours. And my kids, I just had them come by L'chadaidi, from Leisavaishi to left of Boy B'Shalom, or by, there were different parts of davening. Give me 5 minutes just to sit next to me, get the tzura, and the rest I let them play outside or whatever it was. I think it's a mistake to try to force kids. You got to give a kid a minute. Now, at the Shabbos table, people fight. Kids, they come and they fight from my place, your place, and you pull the chair out of her sister's thing, and so you get the kids settled by Kiddush. Then you make Kiddush, and they all disappear. So what were you fighting for? They're not here. And the answer is the kid needs 1 good minute. I think that's the point by davening. Get the kid to have 1 good minute. Don't force him to sit from Baruch Shalom at the left or behind.
Rabbi Stefansky, I was noticing the word the guy said he's frustrated. He's frustrated his kid doesn't want to go daven. How do you get over that? What would you say?
I have to argue. I mean, I think the best way to get a kid to daven is beat him up.
May I remind you, Rabbi Stefansky, this is being recorded, unedited, broadcast for thousands of people.
Proven over the generations. Good geschmack is zetz. And when they don't point in the siddur, get out in siddur. You take his finger and you bend it in. That's usually how it works. It worked for me.
I would say MDY survives with Siyat D'Shmaya. Belly could say this, MDY still keeps on growing. I have no idea how.
Listen, I'm not the right guy to ask. Next.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, one thing I'd say, I'm starting to argue with my wife about this now. And I think that it's like there's the new shita is like, let them grow into it on their own. So usually people grow into davening at about the age of 27, 28, and you have this you bring in your son with the long beard, and he's like, what's this? What's going on here? And I don't think that's the right way either. So I would recommend maybe to bring them when they're 3, so they don't know how to argue with it, and then they're 4 or 5, and then they kind of grow into it. Otherwise, I don't have a good eitzah. It's a mock of the generation where the kids, they just don't connect b'chalal to davening. 0. I actually opened up a minyan literally 2 months ago in Ramat Bet Shemesh with a lot of the community was very against it. They made meetings and this and that. It's a 9:30 minyan. In America, it's like, wow, 9:30 is early. In Eretz Yisrael, it's very late. All the minyanim, the latest is like 8 o'clock. It's my Krishma, very makbid. So, to make it quick, we open the minyan and there's nowhere to sit over. There's 80, 90 boys. They don't want to get up early. That's one thing I saw. We give them chont and they love davening there. And I just got a message last night, because it's a minyan of 0 tolerance for talking. They were scared that since I'm not there, they would be talking. They said it was 0 talking. So if you make it geschmack, I don't know, like anything else, make it just geschmack. Weiter, sorry.
Wow. I thought I had this figured out. I have 3 bachrim. I had it figured out until a couple of weeks ago. One of my boys had 103 fever, and he was sick in bed. He couldn't move, for literally 2 to 3 days. And we brought his tefillin back from yeshiva. He was davening in bed. And then one night he gets a call. A friend of his offers him to go to a basketball game with him. So he says, yeah, I'm coming. I said to him, you're going to the basketball game? He said, yeah. Dad, you don't realize, the guy's very rich. If he invites me, we're sitting courtside. I said, but you have 103 fever. He says, yeah, I'll make it happen. He drags himself out of bed and he goes to the game. He has a blast and then really collapses back into bed 3 hours later for another 2 days. And my first thought was, wow, I'm doing something really wrong. This is, what am I supposed to do? So I agree with Reb Fischel and also essentially Reb Eli that I think they do grow into it. You have to let them grow into it. Avada, there are other stuff that is more exciting in the moment. But if they continue to watch me do what I'm supposed to do, I always say attitudes are caught, not taught. And they catch it from us. So eventually, 30 years later, they'll start davening, yeah.
You're very hopeful, the Oilam. Rabbi Ari, before I ask you a question, a lot of people claim that one of the reasons why kids have a hard time about davening is because they don't understand the words. Like them saying Spanish, they don't know the literal translation. What do you say about that?
So that's an easy one to answer. I just want to talk the way the way that you voiced the guy's frustrated.
I'm quoting verbatim.
So I'm saying, so we have to talk about his frustration. His problem isn't his kids. The problem is him. Meaning, if anybody goes and says something I'm frustrated about, so you're frustrated, So you got to look, what's going on with you. And I'll tell you why he's frustrated. So my oldest son, I'll say this on the thing, he's a nerd. The Eibishter gave him such a lichtig in the neshama. He loved davening in the Beich from the mama. He just my name was also Yoeli at one point. So I know, brother. So he would always show up to davening and always do that. And I thought I had to figure it out. Hey, Abe. and then my twins came along, and Baruch Hashem, they're good, sweet, awesome kids who are gewaldig, and there's a challenge there. So the guy who was sitting in the shul with me would see my oldest son show up from the youngest of ages, and his son, the same age, didn't show up. And so now that guy's frustrated at his son because I did nothing. It's just that the temperament of my older son is to show up. You're upset because you do see a couple of nerdy kids sitting around and you think that, well, those kids are here, so how come my son's not here? No. Those kids are like lamala minateva. They're oddities. The fact that from such a young age that they can daven, there's absolutely nothing wrong with your son. You're just projecting this anger, thinking that, well, I must be doing something wrong. There's something wrong with my kid. Because for every one kid who's sitting in shul, like I said, unfortunately, there's 100 other kids who are outside playing, beating up and talking to the security guard. How many bullets do you have in your gun? The newest thing now, you have security guards in front of every show. Every kid now they have such a depth of understanding in SWAT teams. They're like, no. First they bring in the helicopters, then they bring in the sharpshooter. Brian from Torah has told me, the security guard. So you think that your kid is not there and other kids are. You need to pump the brakes. There are a lot of kids who are not in shul along with your tzaddik as well. So your frustration, you really have to just zoom out and recognize, relax, relax. So now with bringing in the kids, so 100%, Reb Schachter, a gazillion, but we don't force the kids. I used to go to shul, and when my twins started to say, they were 7, 8, Abba, I want to come with you. I'm like, no, you're not going.
You made it hard to get type of thing.
Yeah. And like, why? I said, because I have a good time. I enjoy myself. Ruin the whole thing for me. I'm going to be there. No, don't do this. Like, no, Abba. And then slowly but surely, we go and bring him in. Also, the Svardim, we have a leg up. Because Nishmat kolcha et tivarech et shimcha adoshem Elokeinu. We sing everything.
I'm going to let you keep on going.
We sing. And for the kids, there's something to that. The Shir HaShirim, there's just something of an enjoyable. Now, coming to understanding the words, I don't know. Did anybody understand the words when they were in elementary school or high school? to go to try to like push kids into understanding the words exactly. I don't know if that's really the mahalach. Yeah, I teach high school, and I have a lot of shiurim on explaining Shemona Esrei. I'm trying to do it with the kids. They're really not at the maturity level because, let's face it, every kid goes home tonight, Baruch Hashem, not questioning, do I have a roof over my head? Not one kid is going to sleep tonight thinking, will I have breakfast tomorrow morning? Most kids are thinking that when I need a new pair of sneakers, it's just going to have all these different things. They don't have to ever ask like their life depends on it. Those of us who began to learn the words, when we got a little bit older, we recognized, oh, wow, my life depends on these words. It's really understanding truly the koyach of tefillah that pushes us to start to really resonate. You're going to make a kid. You've done too good a job as a parent to make them feel so secure in you that maybe they don't have to start to look at words yet to feel secure in Hashem. But says my Rebbe Rav Berkowitz, the only way you ever teach betachan to a kid in Hashem is that first they feel secure with you. And then one day, when they look to their Abba, who's in their house, sometimes Abba says yes, sometimes Abba says no, and they know that you have the best in mind for them. So then later, when they look to Abba and Shemayim, when they get yes or no, it's the same thing, and they'll know it through the vehicle of speaking to him. So it takes time.
That sounds beautiful. I actually once heard, I think, B'Shem Reb Belsky, he said that someone asked him, what's called kavanah by davening? He said, saying every word. Just say every word. So let's get back to something.
I just want to add one thing, that just as you're speaking. Maybe, because I threw it in, make davening geschmack. I'll say this, Baravim, I think yesterday was a beautiful davening with all the chazanas, but I think my son went off the derech right after davening. In other words, do not bring him, don't bring your kid to chazanas. They don't appreciate certain things. And maybe the reason why these kids in Ramat B'Shemesh like it, because it's not fast, but we don't waste any time. We have the quickest Balkaira, we don't do Misha Berachs. They're in and out in an hour and 15 minutes, and we don't go fast. So maybe there's a way to make it more geschmack. And another thing I just wanted to ask you, Reb Ari, or whoever's on the panel, do you think last generation was different? Do you think we have less kids?
Wait, that has to be answered by the oldest man on the panel. Please, whoever that is, please speak.
Yoeli?
I just want to say what Reb Eli said is don't take your kids to long minyanim. That's why I daven with the shortest and quickest minyanim. I blame it on my kids. I say it's my kids because I want to make sure that they...
This is really turned into a therapy session for Did you want to add something?
No, the guy said, how dare me Rosh Hashiva say I don't daven mincha. It's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning.
Okay, we're too little to the Daf Yomi. A lot of questions people...
By the way, are they watching our thing outside? You guys outside, wave. Yeah, they are. They're looking. All those guys sitting over there.
It's a mirror, Reb Eli.
It's a mirror.
Oh, that's what it is. Oh.
They're watching.
It is a mirror.
It looks like a door.
I got that hereditary from my father. My father walked into Chasana, and he runs over to his brother. He's like, Avram, he's such a cherah. You told me you're not coming to the wedding. And he runs in front of everybody and he whacks the mirror right.
No way.
Yeah. It's hereditary. Sorry.
Very good. The panel has been...
Oh, here he is. I'm watching. I saw Dambi over there. Literally.
This is great. At this rate...
Women, don't make fun of me. You got to see this. It looks literally like a doorway over there.
The video guy will take a video.
It does like a doorway.
We're going to videotape it. We'll put it on the camera so we know you're not Meshuggah.
Wow.
So let's talk about Daf Yomi. A lot of people are sending this question. They said, we learned the Daf with Reb Eli. Unfortunately, we don't feel like we're actually accomplishing anything. We go through the Daf, we learn it, but maybe there's something. What type of chazar would you suggest? Is it dirshu? Should we try to do halacha?
Tell me what you really think about me, right?
They appreciate people sent in this question that they learned the daf. They feel like they're not kinyan. They don't remember. And I know Reb Eli always says that. He always says, I don't remember. Do it anyways. But we're not going to start with you. Let you think about the answer. Reb Yoel will start with you. What would you suggest to such a person?
So it's a great question because I spoke at Shabbos. I was saying that I started the daf many times and I fell off the bandwagon 2 to 3 weeks into each Masechta. And part of it, as I look back, was that feeling of, I'm learning, and I'm not retaining anything, and there's no sipuk.
That's the question.
So this time around, I'm giving shir like Reb Eli to my 5 guys, but also I started doing zichru.
Oh, you stole my answer. This is Mom's
We
answer.
started doing.
Yeah, no, this is the answer.
Together, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, we started to do Zichru.
So,
Yeah.
just a
If we
quick.
closed it at that, we could have got sponsored by them for MDY.
Right? No. They asked me to mention.
Yeah,
it. I'm glad
taking
you
off
asked.
my MBY shirt. I'm putting on Zichru. Just right now, we're going to Zichru.
So just to give you a little a concept of what Zichru is, it's super easy. Zichru basically takes the daf, let's say daf Pei Gimel, right above a Basra. So Pei Gimel stands for pogo, a pogo stick. And then they give you the siman, and they also give you an image telling a story. I'm a story guy, so they give you a story about a pogo stick that connects to the daf, 3 points into the daf. You see a kid, bouncing on a pogo stick between one tree to the next, and it has to be between Shmoina and Shisha Aser Amis. In order for it to be as Day Elon, we have 3 trees and between 8 and 16 Amis between the trees. And then he gets his award which is an award made of Atzei Zayas. It's supposed to be made of Atzei Shikma. And he's complaining that it's a Mekach Toa, so there's another point in the daf. And so basically,
Now, which stuff is that?
that's Pei Gimel, pogo stick,
In.
in Baba Basra.
So he now has.
So
Hey,
I
Gimel
can
in
tell
his
you.
Pocket.
Yeah, no, and I tell you 3 points. And then once you remember that, you'll be surprised. You remember the names of the Amoraim, you remember the names of the Achroinim on the raid. It's like a guy goes shopping for 100 items. How's he going to take out 100 items from the store and bring it to his house? He needs bags. He needs shopping bags. So what Zichru does, it provides you with a shopping bag. It says, take the siman. And really, that's how they used to learn in the times of Chazal. They used to have simanim. And that's how you remember it. And and they do these funny simanim, like you can't get out of your brain. Like Kuf Lamatet is a blood clot. A clot. You see a father in a hospital, Nebuch, with his foot up, blood clot. He's looking at the wedding bills. And it's talking about the marrying off Banim Gedolim, Banim Ketanim, and they each want the Banim Gedolim got married before, and the Ketanim want to get married not from the same money, but they got married with the father's money. The father's still alive. The whole thing, it's a blood clot.
Pump for Zichru. Fischel, what would you say to that? We'll get to you next.
I just feel I have a terrible memory. I don't even remember why I'm sitting here. I think Gemara is something that you have to keep moving and keep moving. The old cars in my days, the automatic didn't have the key. You pushed them until they started. You develop a chain. I remember the first time I learned that for Yomi, I felt the same way. Second time around, I said, I remember this. How could I remember this? I didn't understand it the first time. And it must be I didn't. I remember where I learned the blah. I remember the coffee stain on this Gemara. That's my kid pushed it. You do. You don't realize what you retain. You have to have patience. It's not instant. But I think you keep doing it, and it bounces around. When I first started doing it, then it was just audio tapes. 3 o'clock in the morning, got a call from somebody in Taipei in a hotel. Wanted to understand a marsha that I spoke out. And I was like, I told him, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, you didn't chap. You didn't realize. And in those days, these phone calls were like 100,000 a minute or something. And then he called back the next night. He forgot again. And I said to him, and he carried a whole suitcase of these cassette tapes. And I said to him, how much are these calls calling you? He said, could be $300,000-$400,000 a call.
Wow.
And I said, so what, you really bothers you the Masha so much? He said, I'm all alone here. You have no idea the Nesiyonis I have in this hotel. When I see Abaya and Rava in front of me, that's what holds me back. I have to talk to somebody and say, what's pshat? Wow. I don't care what it costs me. Wow. So we don't realize the effects that the Daf Gemara has on you. Kal v'chomer Shas, Kal v'chomer Masechta, Kal v'chomer Shas. Even if you don't feel it right away, it comes. It eventually seeps in.
So what we'll do, because I know you address this a lot, specifically I would want to ask the guy, he feels frustrated he doesn't have a seat book when he doesn't remember it. He's asking for Chazara advice, but maybe you could address both those things.
Right. I'm with Reb Fischel over here. These guys are just, promoting another program. I have a terrible memory also, terrible. The idea is the Yetzer Hara will come up with any excuse. You don't remember, you don't this. I address it all the time because that's what he does. You're not learning Eon, it's too fast, it's too this, it's too that, don't do it. It's just Yetzer Hara. Mamish Yetzer Hara. Zichru program is a Gewaldic program. I tried it for 3 days. It worked Gewaldic. Yeah, I did. I had him in my house, the whole thing. And the people, there's a guy in our shir that does it every day, David Friedman. It's a great program if you can do it, if you have the time. When you do the daf, you see the same sugis over and over and over, and it just becomes second nature. The first time you might not retain it that much. After you retain more, you get better and better at it. And the Yetzer Hara, sometimes, I know a guy who, when bracha started, He said, I got to do this well. He used to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He had a chavrus at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to do this, and I need a chazer and chazer and chazer. Guess how long that lasted? Ask him. He's right over here.
It was 3 in the morning, but okay.
I'm not joking.
Wow.
But what would you say as a Chazara advice? Do you have any suggestions for that, or just go with the flow?
I chazered Baba Basra 22 times. 22 times. I don't remember one word from it. One word. Every daf that I just gave him Baba Basra is brand new to me. So for me, chazara didn't work. I have guys in my kollel that know.
But it takes you less time to prepare.
What?
You think you don't remember, but it takes you less time to prepare, doesn't it?
I'm saying I remember different musagim. I don't remember ever learning the sugya. I remember the stories. Some of the stories, wow. I remember that story. It's a crazy story. But musagim, just everybody in their memory. And if you have time to do chazara, 100% you should do chazara. And there's other programs like Shas, the Chabur Shas, where you do chazara the next day on the daf. You do at the end of the week. You do at the end of the month. And it's supposed to, as you're about to forget, you do it again. And then you retain it. But we're talking about people that have only a limited amount of time, or they think they only have a limited amount of time. You just do the daf, stop with the excuses. If you don't remember, it's also good. You're mekayim the mitzvah. You'll remember more. Trust me. Just keep on going, and you'll know it.
So I'll segue that to the next question.
I want to throw in one quick thought.
Sure.
Certainly what Reb Eli said, that it gets in there, even if you don't know, it certainly gets in there. The zichru thing, it's a type. It's a type. There's certain people who really get into it. I'm trying now to do zichru for Sanhedrin. Bezat Hashem with my boys. We're obviously doing the daf with the Reb Eli, and I want to try. I did daf base. It was really gewaldig. With that house, with the 3 different levels of the Sanhedrin inside it, the guy outside trying to call in Sanhedrin with them over there. But I want to give everybody a matana that was given to me. There's a book called The Meister Plan. Is anybody here familiar with the Meister Plan? It's a bittersweet story, really, really quick, to make a long story longer. So it goes like this. This was a guy, he became a Baal Tshuva. He was going to become a brain surgeon. Instead, he bumped down what he was going to do, became a radiologist instead, because he wanted to give his life to Torah. And he came out with a book called The Meister Plan. It's a fascinating book. He gives you 22 different stocks to invest in. He tells you if you invest in this, it's a long-term thing that by the age of 60, you'll be able to retire and give yourself over to Torah. He said, but why wait until the age of 60? He gives you a whole mahalach, how to break down Kol HaTorah Kula, to learn it in a 10-year plan or a 20-year plan. Okay, that's his plan. But he wrote one thing. He brought down, I believe it was from, he brought down from somewhere, I don't recall right now. He said that, remember that said, as long as you've learned something once in your life, after 120, you get admittance into that place in Shemayim. So there's a beis medrash called Baba Metzia, a beis medrash Baba Kam, a beis medrash Baba Basra. It does not say if you chazered and you remembered every single word, you get into there. It says if you covered ground and you put in fire and you put in Mesiras Nefesh, they give you those keys. There we go. So what we're looking for over here is that the avodas in this world to reap the benefit of the next world. By the way, I don't know. I don't think there's going to be a mechitza in Olam Haba. So it could be that husband and wife, the wives who've also earned it, maybe there will be a mechitza. Hasidim will start to kill me and everything else. Mechitza. Of course, there won't be a mechitza. The woman won't be in Olam Haba. Chas v'shalom. I didn't say Reb Eli said it. He's a fantastic ventriloquist. Wow, how'd you do that? So, but the point is that don't chas v'shalom think you're not accomplishing with it. You are gaining keys to Kol HaTorah Kula.
That's beautiful.
They once asked the Chavetz Chaim, will I have a Svarim Shank? Can I look up any sefer I want in Shemayim? He said, the Svarim you looked at this world, you'll have in your Svarim Shank in Shemayim. If you never took it out there, you're not going to have it here. You take out a Sanhedrin Gemara, you have a Sanhedrin Gemara.
Again, I'm taking out Zoyars from that one.
The Olam is, people that watch this, they're thinking that on Shabbos they probably said controversial stuff and they're more quiet than camera. It's not true. Totally fine. So I'll segue to the next question that a few people said. They find a hard time balancing work and Torah. They have a hard time being kaveh itim. Several people sent this question. Even people who are struggling to do the daf, they don't finish the daf. They said, look, I'm working very, very hard. I tried to do the daf. I don't have a set time. How can I figure out the time to be kaveh itim, be established, even with trying to be busy making panasa?
Who are you talking to? Me?
First of all,
None of us work for a living.
you're maybe projecting, but no, I'm just. So one of them used to work for me.
Again, same thing. Excuses. Speaking to all these people, everybody has another 45 minutes in their day. Every single person. Baraya, look how much time they spend on their social media and on their this and the nice and everybody has. And if you don't have 45 minutes extra, then you're doing something wrong. You shouldn't be working so much. There's no heter even to work so much. What right do you have to work for Parnasa for more than 8 to 9 hours a day? Who gave you that heter? You're from Yid. You're a Maimon. You believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you're going to work and work and work for what? Who told you? Who said, oh, you're allowed to work for Parnasa because you have to make it shtadlus. Excellent. Shtadlus. What else do you make it shtadlus for? Let's hear it. You work on your marriage? You have a shtadlus in your marriage? When was the last time you went to a class for your marriage? Chinuch? No. Exercise? No. Oh, I have to make a shtadlus for work. 14, 16 hours a day. That's a shtadlus. That's your heter. It says we came here to be Oved Hashem, to learn Torah, to be Oved Hashem. It happens to be that we have to make parnassus. You work normal hours, 9 hours a day, whatever normal is in that society. To work 15 hours, that you don't have a minute to put on tefillin. There's such a thing. I don't have time to put on tefillin. I have to work. No such thing. So you have time to put on tefillin. You have to have time to learn Torah. At least 45 minutes a day. At least every single day. You hear it in Reb Nesanel. Every single day.
Let's address the fact of the Metzias. So Fischel, will turn to you. The Metzias is that although you're right, Rebelli, and you're saying what everyone's saying is just an excuse, the fact is that people don't do it. They feel like, oh, they want to struggle. What would you say to that person? Hey, get over the hump. Besides, for it's all on you.
Sit down and say I'm sitting down for 5 minutes. I always tell people I made up when I was a kid, when I was a bacher, I was going through a hard time. I said, B'li neder, 10 minutes before I go to sleep, I open a sefer. Even if I didn't have time to learn, I just sit in klotz. And sometimes when I'm going through a crisis, I say 5 minutes. For the next 5 minutes, I'm opening Gemara. You'll see it'll become more than 5 minutes. It'll become more than 10 minutes.
You think start with 5.
And another thing I like to do is with Gemara also, because there's a whole daf. I'm going to 10 Rashis. That's what I do. I start the Gemara, okay, and I said I'm counting with my fingers 10 Rashis. I'm working my way through, because I don't have patience now to do an entire daf. I always wind up doing the entire daf.
Wow.
You need something to pull you in. Anyone that says he doesn't have time to learn, that means he doesn't have the courage to break through. Once he breaks through, he'll have more time. Maybe it's famous Rabbi Salanter, what should I learn? I only have 10 minutes a day. He said, learn Musar. Only Musar, I'll be in Amaretz. He said, you learn Musar, you'll see you'll have more than 10 minutes. That's what Reb Eli was saying.
Real Barry, you want to add on that?
Atomic habits. That's meaning like Hashem gave us Siyat Ishmael to non-Yid in the world to go and to write something that I think is a lot of godliness. You're not going to read the whole book. That's just not. You're not going to do it. But either get the audio book on it, or just get the Cliff Notes. There is a way.
Please tell us the Cliff Notes. So you obviously read it.
Basically, there are 4 steps to it. There's a problem, a solution, event. Nobody walks into a dark room and thinks to themselves, "Ooh, it's dark in here. I need to turn on a light." You don't think that. You did when you were 3 years old. Like, what happens? Hashem made an incredible gift, which is that He makes certain things turn into a habit so that your brain can think about other things. So eventually, problem, want, a solution is basically all of that becomes a habit. Smoking a cigarette, for people who smoke, problem, want, and solution, it comes into like just a second. People who overeat, all these different things. Now, you can go and the same way that you make turning on a light, problem and solution, and then it becomes a part of you.
To bring it back to the
part
learning
of your
aspect.
subconscious. You can make almost anything become a part of your subconscious. And you heard it here a lot. You heard mamish people who have already made it a habit, the daf yomi a habit, that they mamish feel that the same way you can't go without a coffee, you also can't go without the daf and habit. But you do have to like learn a little bit. I'm just saying that what people don't understand is that that's your entire nisayon in life. Like Reb Schachter just said, your entire nisayon over here is to push through, meaning the Eibishter almost could care less about the daf and more about you overcoming laziness. Meaning, we're all given this chance. Lefum Tsar Agra, is the name of the game. The Ramchal tells him, that that's the Olam Haba that you're building. Hashem wants to give you Olam Haba. He created the world. Ramchal tells us in Derech Hashem to give you L'naitin Toiv L'Zula. Say, give us the greatest good. The greatest good is building through those things to become like Hashem, to become in control. To get Olam Haba, you have to be Daima to Hashem. That's the way it goes. You have to be Daima. Hashem's in control. You need to be in control. The Eibusher wants you to be in control. How are you going to be in control? I got to make the daf my thing. Understand you're becoming godlike with that. It's not just I'm getting over something. You're building Olam Haba. When you understand the reality of what's at stake over here, it's not just doing the daf. It's becoming Davak Hashem by being Daimet Hashem, says the Ramchal. It's all of your eternity for you and for your wife to overcome and to just look at Atomic Habits or to take the advice of the Heilige Reb Schachter of the 5 minutes. It is your entire reality that you will echo for eternity. You have to look at it that way.
That's beautiful. Reb Yoel, do you want to add something?
I just want to say one word, and in addition to what everybody said, accountability. Scranton University, they did a study and they found that only 8% of people keep their commitments. That means 92 out of 100 naturally fall off the bandwagon.
Or anything they commit to.
Yeah, New Year's resolutions, whatever. That only 8%.
There's a university in Scranton.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I just made it up. But here's what they found. They found that if you are held accountable to someone, then your success rate goes up by 70%.
Wow.
70%. That means if you have a chavrusa, or if you have to give shir, there's no way you're missing. You're accountable to other people. So if you want to do the daf consistently and not allow work or anything else to overtake your day, you have to be accountable to someone. Keep accountability. Make sure that you're answering to someone. Someone can give you the chizik, someone can push you, someone can ask you, where are you? And you do it for each other.
That's for sure. I think also if you make a schedule for yourself in the morning, how you're appropriating your time.
That's one of the questions the person asked.
Right.
Just have to be kaveitim. Can I do when I have
Most
random time?
sit down and say what I'm doing now. When are you? I'm going to learn the daf when I have time. You'll never have time. I'm going to learn it at 3 and 4 and 5 and 6.
Anybody that watches the daf heard all these things in the last week. 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes a day. Accountability. You have somebody on WhatsApp. Atomic Habits. Last night in the speech. These are things we schmooze about all the time. That's why people love the daf. It's all about psychology and stuff, different books. Meister Plan, that's a good book.
It's just, if anybody, I want to tell you something beautiful and sad. His plan was always to retire at 60 and keep on going. But he finished Kol HaTorah Kula once or twice before that. He got cancer in his late 50s.
Wow.
And he passed away about 60 or 61.
Wow.
And so it's a very big musser inside that, where so many of us think that we have that time. And Baruch Hashem, for him, the guy who wrote the book, that he finished Kol HaTorah Kula once or twice before that, because we don't have time. You got to start now.
I'm just going to touch on the next question before you said.
I just want to forget. Rabbi Yaakov told someone I know that be kovei itim l'Torah. If not, you're going to die when you retire. Because when you retire, the only thing that's going to keep you alive is learning. And if you don't learn now, you will not be able to start them.
Wow.
That's very deep and scary at the same time. No, he said the phone Tsar Agra. So the Michtav Yoel writes in the beginning. He said when someone starts learning or starts doing something, and it's hard for them, they get a lot of schar. He said once it gets easier, you get still the schar as if it's the phone Tsar Agra, as if it's hard for you. So let's segue to a totally unrelated question, nothing to do with learning. Actually, we had, to be honest, a lot of questions that were not related to learning, but I said we had to get the learning part in before we get to let's call it Gishmak. And we'll talk about living within your means. So I had like a few long emails about this that it was kind of a person wrote a mini article, and I can't condense it. Basically, I think people who are rich should spend a lot of money because they spend a lot of money in their own selves and they give a lot of tzedakah. But such shame, they shouldn't spend so much because they just don't spend so much. Then everyone's keeping with the Joneses. So how do I convince my wife to spend less, even though I spend more on the things that I want to spend more? It's a very, very totally loaded question. So it turns out the question is really, how can we live within our means? And is that the way, the right mahalach and hashkafa that a frim should do, especially if he's doing okay? Reb Yoel, we'll start with you on that one.
Really? This is the one you want to start with?
That's right.
Good for you. He didn't look at this one and be like, Ari Bensoussan.
You live in LA.
Can you repeat the question?
Next question. Next question.
I'll succinctly ask the question again. The question is it important for a person to live within their means? And if so, how do they actually do so? A lot of people find a very big difficulty in doing that. It sounds very nice, but it becomes hard. And the person said that very interestingly. He said, even a rich person has to live within their means, because if they're living way beyond they should also, they're also struggling. And they're also having a hard time. So what would you suggest for people how to actually do that? They're struggling so much to do it.
Again, so explain.
The
Is it
question,
people that have money and shouldn't be spending a lot of
So,
money, or
again,
people that don't have
that's
money
right, that's
and
what I
are
wanted to
spending
he was
money they
asking,
don't
he was
have?
saying both people. Should both people have to live within their means? And if so, how do you do so?
Let me explain.
Rebellion
You
to
know
the
what? Hold
rescue.
on. Would you like me to actually read the question?
Very good Baal Masber. There are people who like
That's
this.
right.
We'd like
Yeah.
to know, if you have a lot of money, could you spend a lot of money within your means? And if you don't have money, can you spend a lot of money above your means? Two different questions.
Meaning on credit cards, like just go into
Swipe.
debt.
Is
Yeah.
it a good idea to show off and buy a nice car even though you can't afford it, but that everybody's going to think that you're...
Even if you leave it over in Chicago
So-
like a Tesla
And
type
if
of
you're a
thing?
multi...
Right.
And the guys in Lakewood that have a lot of money and they're flying on private jets, is it appropriate to
Right.
fly on a private
Lakewood, New
jet
Jersey.
even though people next door are struggling
A lot
to
of
put
traffic.
bread on the table? You're paying $40,000 to get to the Armon Hotel when you live in Lakewood, let's say, because that's how much a private jet costs. It's a lot of money. You just wasted $40,000 to get there. I know people that have private jets and they fly to a baseball game and then they fly to the next one the same day. They go to 3 and it costs them $100,000. It's down because they could say they spend $100,000. Is that he wants to know if it's okay.
No, that's not okay. That's not okay.
That's what they say. Like a good question, when your mamish understand it, it's already half the
That's why I
answer.
said move on.
Move on.
So I'm gonna actually read the question. There has been a lot of talk in the Torah world lately regarding Gashmias, both by those that have means and those that are lacking means. I humbly believe that those who have are certainly entitled to spend and live their life as long as it's within their means. But humbly believe at the same time that they're also making other people very jealous. The question is basically like this. In our times, how do we live within our means? It's a difficult thing for people to do. It is hard. They feel like, hey, I can make a small, tiny bar mitzvah when someone's making a big bar mitzvah. I could not have the fancy thing. Or even basic things. It's, people are struggling a lot to live within their means. Rabbi Ari, I see you're thinking very hard about this. Let's see what you say.
No,
Still struggling with the
I'm the wrong guy I don't have.
You live way beyond your
It's
means.
like asking me, an astronaut once asked, once he's on the moon, how many moon rocks he's put in his pocket? How in the world?
I'll tell you.
I'm not like
Well,
I'm not a wealthy guy. I'm not gonna.
So I'm gonna counter back at you. I would say I know so many people. They're not wealthy and they're struggling because they're trying to do things that they can't afford. What do you mean all the time?
So it's okay. So you asked me. You want me to start?
Yeah, you start.
So as far as the very wealthy people, I've been to enough wealthy homes to give speeches. Different things that I've been invited to, and I go on a program here or there. Sometimes I'm brought in to come and speak. I'm the hired help, and. They and a lot of times you see and I sit and I schmooze with people and some of them tell me about the hardships. They're just like, look, I don't know, the leather is starting to really give a little bit inside my private jet on the seats. So I don't, should I redo it with just imported from Italy or just go American already? It's the extremely wealthy people. When I meet them, I recognize that this is a Yetzer Hara that I don't understand, and so I have no business to talk about it.
That's rich people. But
Yeah.
what about people who are not rich people?
Regular people. So I also may not be the guy to talk about it because I was never brought up with a Yetzer Hara for money. That's not my thing. I got some other good Yetzer Haras going inside me. Crazy.
Wait, I'm sorry. Most people that the Yetzer Hara is not money. It's covered or.
No, I'll tell you. I want to tell you this myself. I was at United Hatzalah dinner with Eli Bear in Beverly Hills, and there must have been in the room like $100 billion.
Eli Bear and I think is yeah. Just,
What?
you know,
Eli Bear, yeah. You know Eli Bear is.
Sure. Hang out all the time.
I'm sending you guys a bill.
Can I never had. No, I
the
want.
next time you meet Eli Bear, can you ask him, does he own anything that isn't orange? Just seen the guy wearing
The MDY logo.
The MDY.
Yeah. No, so I never had this. For the first time, I really understood it. I was sitting at a table, and they locked the doors. I don't know if you know this. They literally closed the doors, and there are guards there as they start going around the tables asking people, how much are you giving to United Hatzalah? And people are giving a lot of money. Like you have the Garmazians, $250,000, Sonny Sassoon from Coffee Bean, and Miriam Adelson. Millions of dollars are going.
MDY fundraiser, take notes here. Go.
And yeah, absolutely. One note, don't take. You ready for the next part of the story? My wife said, look, she gives me under the table. She says, Yoel, how much are we giving?
Matana ba'da b'smedrash.
Tziva levarchem.
100 times Steve Levar.
100 times. So anyways, so this person comes over to my table and I was like, okay, I'm going to give. So they had a whole host of stuff you could donate, and the lowest, like the cheapest thing you could give was $2,500, a defibrillator. So I said, okay, I didn't want to, I can't afford. So I said, I'll give the defibrillator $2,500. I said, do me a favor, because they used to announce the names. Everybody's name gets announced in front of the whole board. I said, listen, just please say it anonymously and step away from my table as you say that there's an anonymous donor in table 18. So anyway, she did that with Kitzer, and then Ellie's on the stage. She's like, no, please tell me the name. Who is giving the defibrillator? I'm like, oh my goodness, don't tell the name. But I never felt so bad about giving so much. And I felt...
Naomi, we're never going to this hot salad dinner in LA.
It wasn't, no, it's not anything about United Salad. It's just the
We'll go for
idea.
the buffet and then we're out.
Had I known, I'm saying, like... No, so I'm trying to say is, for the first time, I spoke to another guy afterward. He said, and you were Ahmed Ben Asayan? Like, for the first time, I felt, oh my gosh, like maybe I should take out a couple of credit cards so they can announce Yoel Gold, $1 million.
Hold on, let me take pledges for MDY for a second. Hold that thought.
No, so there's a tremendous pressure. There's a tremendous, and I never had it. But in that moment, I got a glimpse of it. So I don't judge it. There's no judgment on it. But it takes a tremendous amount of discipline and responsibility to stay genuine and honest and within your means.
Reb Eli, you want to talk about living within your means?
No, I just want to add to the story. I had the same exact Misa. Same exact. We're in Deal, New Jersey. We had a MDY thing. And the guy on a regular parasha, nothing going on. Revi, he gets Revi. Bavur Sasson Yiten, $25,000 to the library, $13,000 to this, and $60,000 to that.
Wow.
That was Revi. Chamishi comes along. I'm not making this up.
Yeah, I was there.
Chamishi, $25,000 for this. And then, Yomi, Reb Eli Stefansky.
You realize none of them gave anything. They were just setting you up. Yeah.
Bavur Sharav Eliyahu Yiten, 18 $18 million.
That's not the true story. Wait, you say the true story about what you said.
Matana. Matana.
You stretched it out. Matana.
Like I started hiding underneath the bima.
That's a big pressure.
That's Reb Eli living within his means. For sure, what would you say to people?
My mother-in-law Shalom used to say that in Europe, the poor were poor, the rich were rich, everybody was happy with their place. But that the poor have to be rich, that she only saw in America. And I think our problem is environment. I think that if I'm in a social struggle, it's easier said than done, then maybe you should think about changing your environment.
Yeah.
Changing the class of people you look up to the people you have a connection with or have a Schachter.
So everyone in the
you wind
5
up
towns is
doing
in SARS?
things only for someone. You wind up doing things only for someone else.
So again, I live
You live in the 5 towns, but you have to find the people, your friends in the 5 towns. Who are your friends in the 5 towns?
We have a friend in the 5 towns. I hope I'm not going to embarrass my wife. The woman, Nebuch, she searches for used Land Rovers. She can't afford anything. She needs to drive a nice, fancy car. She figured out that if she buys a Land Rover that's like 6 years old, people won't cop that at 6 years old. And she gets it this because everything's about what the Joneses are going to think of you. Terrible way to live.
There's so much more to answer this question into the psychology. I think every single person has to go to their Rav and have a sit down and talk about their own personal Mahalach HaChaim.
Every single person has to have a Rav.
Yeah, there you go. Right. No, yeah. Or they're just going to email us and best of luck to you. But I'm saying that it's such a personal, because in LA, to be honest, we don't have this problem as much. And everyone
Do
thinks
people outside of LA think the same thing?
I'm telling you, in LA, we're simple Yidden. And I know you can all laugh and everything else.
I'm asking.
But But the wealthy over there, they build much less than they need to be like crazy.
Which part of LA do you live?
And you live on the great. I'm saying you live on that side, but over on Pico, Coco, come on over to there. No, but it's. I'm telling you, the people know how to stay in their lanes a lot more, and I believe that they're very happy inside it. There are other places, and we're not going to point out, but the frommer places that, yes, suffer from this a lot. And I think that starting from the top down, the Rav of every single shul has to talk to their people about it. They have to zone in on this, and they have to go, but it's not an answer over here. It's something, it's really an epidemic that every single Rav in his own shul, to make the kiddushim less, the bar mitzvahs less, it's something that each community has to really deal with on their own.
The guy that bought things on credit cards, totally out of his means, houses, borrowed money. So I said, what are you doing? We'll do a rich shidduch. It was all worth it. They did a shidduch with the richest guy in town and found that he was doing the same thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we have the final question, I'm going to ask this question because people ask me, because I always ask this question when I do my articles. And it is, how do you handle stress in your life? I'm sorry, Rabbi, I didn't mean to trigger anything. But so we're going to go step by step. Rabbi, we'll start with you. How do you handle stress in your life?
You're asking the Moroccan angry person how he handles stress. Like asking the Incredible Hulk. So what do you do after you say Hulk smash puny humans?
Can you translate
Do you
that
sit down and have a decaf?
Can you translate the Incredible Hulk into Yiddish?
Yoeli wants to know what you mean.
The answer to that question is Dr. David Lieberman Shlita. The Heilige Dr. David Lieberman wrote a book called Real Power. And his Hagdama to the book called Real Power, he wrote that once you're in anger, it is, I should use the word impossible, but it is almost impossible. Once you're blind, the Chazal have explained to us, Avodah Zarah, etc. Once you're in Kas, Rebbe Waxman calls it an ungodly world. Once you're in Kas, it's impossible to get out of. His entire book is dedicated to never allowing yourself to fall that much. And so when the stress comes and you start to feel it come on, so there are certain things that you try to take a step back and just mamish breathe through and really try to think about what are the things I'm stressing about. And I've come to the point in my life, like I told everybody, it was my birthday in Shabbos, and one person said happy birthday. Everybody came up with their problems, and that's for sure, but a little happy birthday wouldn't have killed you. So, but I've learned in my life that, Rev Berkowitz really told us this, which is that it's so good when you feel that stress. No. Like, what are you talking about? What does that mean? And he said that there are certain feelings that you get in life, and you're supposed to look at it and say, so now I get to feel this. Meaning, when the stress comes in, you begin to think, what do I do with this? Almost looking at it from the outside, there's the stress. Where's it initiating from? And how big of a stress is it for me to, and it's almost a midah to look at the stress and to look at it from different angles and talking it out with yourself, with a spouse, even talking it out very many times, it kind of makes it an out of body experience that it's, at least for me, it's brought down my levels.
Rabbi Stefansky, what would you say to that? How do you handle
Me?
stress? Yeah.
Look, every day, right before share, literally every single day, I have a certain level of stress. The stress. I have a lot of chesroinus. Stress is not one of them. 99% of the time, I don't allow stress to get to me at all. It doesn't. I've been in crazy situations where I lost a lot of money or different things happened and, people are dying, whatever it is. I'm very under control in those situations. However, I will say, there was one time where I thought I was going to lose all my properties. Everything. There was some anti-Semite put on, he more than doubled the taxes in 2011 or something it was, and all my properties were worthless, basically. If I had to pay those taxes, and I found myself getting up in the middle of the night with heart, like literally I felt my heart, I didn't know what it was. And I went to a heart specialist. I thought I couldn't get away from it. Like during the day, I thought I was okay. And then at night, I was just something like my heart would, like, okay, I have a heart issue. I got to go to the doctor. I go to the doctor. And he said, I had the same exact thing. when I was moving practices, I thought I was, having a heart attack and this and that. He said, it's all over here. It's in your head. I said, what are you talking? He said, it's in your head. You got nothing. You don't have a heart problem. He checked me. I walked out of his office. Never happened to me again in my life, ever. It was in my head. So, but usually Baruch Hashem, I don't have that. It's not an issue. I have other things.
But that's you.
The
question is, how do you handle when you are stressed? That you're saying
No.
this is your nature.
I look at everything. You can ask Bensi. Bensi, he'll tell you. Somebody steals from me. Somebody stole from me a lot of money. This, I say, okay, this is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give me a thing. I have a bitachon, and this, whatever it is, I don't allow it to affect me 99% of the time. That one time in 2000, I don't know why, hit, and I was able to turn the switch off. And
so you don't have any real advice. You just think this is your nature.
This is my nature in this thing. In this thing, I'm not a tzaddik or anything. In this particular thing, I don't have that in the sign.
Fischel, what would you say to that?
Listen to Reb Eli Stefansky. Take an hour.
Stress relief pill.
Take an hour. Very good.
Best answer than
No, I heard it from a lot of people. You take an hour off. That's it. You know what I mean? I remember I was sitting in the hospital. My mother wasn't well, and I was there. I was Ben Yacher, and I was there. My wife was there to take care of the kids, and she came during the day, and I was there every night, and I had to go teach 8th grade the next day. And hospitals, I'm sure they measure you, and they give you a recliner that's narrower than your back. And at one point, I said, I'm going to plot. And I called my Rebbe, I called the Mashgiach, and he told me, the Lechvish said like this, just chazer these words. With the Rabbeinu Shalom, you can fly over 7 skies. Without him, you can't step over the threshold. So you're with him, you can do it. If you're not with him, you can't do anything. The Chassam Sofer says, if we wouldn't have stress in our life, we would all die of depression. Because we would have nothing to live for. He says, Bal Karchach, the fact that we're forced to do things, Atachai is the reason you're alive. That's what he says.
Everybody want anything to add before we end off?
Yeah, this question I understood well. Skipped over me over here. So, because I do have stress, and maybe we'll switch it to anxiety.
Absolutely.
Is that a stigmatizing word here?
Nope.
No, isn't that okay?
I'll say, like, when I do my articles, right? So one of the things people talk about when I ask the stress question, they always assume it's business related, right?
Yeah.
And what I found is that the most stress people have in business is nothing to do with business. They're worried about their health, their kids, their wife. That's what causes stress in business more than anything else. Right. Not business, but in life in general. So what would you say to that?
So I'm going to tell you what I do practically for myself. My wife picked up not because I'm stressed. She picked up guitars like COVID time. We're home and was just sitting there. My kids pretending to be on Zoom doing school and nobody's doing anything. So we started learning how to play guitar. And I have to say that now it's almost instinctive. Anytime I feel stressed, there are guitars all over the house. I grab a guitar and I start strumming, and my wife can tell how stressed I am based on how hard I'm strumming the guitar. And I don't even realize it myself. And she's like, what's wrong? No. Like, so you have to have an outlet. You have to have something that you can. I play basketball with my boys. You have to have somewhere you can go. And if Reb Eli Shiurim worked for you to de-stress, that's unbelievable. I don't know. I definitely don't have the gift of not being stressed like that. But stress can cause a lot of pressure in a household, and you have to ask yourself, where can I let it out other than my home and on my wife and kids? That's really the
beautiful. So I want to ask. I want to end with the 1-minute message. The message would be the following: you have an individual one-on-one meeting with everyone who's watching, everyone in this room. They're specifically when it comes to Torah learning, they're having difficulty. They want the chesed to keep it going further. Like I said, it could be excuses, but they're having a hard time. What's a 1-minute message you can say? Fischel, will start with you.
Who are your friends, like we said before? Pick 2 or 3 friends that you work with and say, we're going to do this together. And there's nothing like a chavrusa. Just like a chat works, you can just create. Don't do it alone. Alti dan yechidi.
Beautiful. Yoel, what would you say?
I would say the same thing, and I really want to say, get a chavrusa, join Reb Eli's shir, join a shir that you can attend to live, because again, Reb Fischel, you can't do it alone. Yeah,
no, you can't do it alone.
No. Reb Ari.
The only things that have ever pushed me in life to do anything was, like Reb Yoel said, accountability. To make yourself accountable to the Givish Yom, to have a chavrusa, and that ultimately the thing that brainwashed me into this whole thing to begin with was Rav Berkowitz, which is a person has to constantly think to himself that my entire eternity is based on punching through this, the harder it is, the greater the Olam Haba. The fact that it's difficult is that my eternity on the other side will be even greater.
Beautiful. Reb Eli, will end with you.
What was the question?
The question is, if you're sitting one-on-one with a person who wants the chizah to keep it going further, to keep it further in learning his Torah, to make sure it doesn't give up, what would you say to that person?
I always tell people the same exact thing. It's for your benefit. It will change your life, literally change your life. And I want to, if I'm sitting here in front of the women, I didn't have the opportunity. First of all, I want to thank my wife, who gives the most sacrifice. And what I mean by that is, I used to spend a lot more time with her. We used to go out more. We used to go out. We haven't been to a restaurant probably in a few years, vacation. So I want to say thank you to her. Thank you to all the women for pushing your husbands. Thank you. Because you know that by them learning Torah, they become better people, better husbands, and better fathers. So keep on pushing. Tell your friends about it, because you could change another person's life by introducing them to Torah and having them learn Torah.
Rabbi, thank you so much for the esteemed panelists. Thank you everyone for joining. And with that, have a wonderful day.